In this video, we're going to run you through a routine to both increase the flexibility and mobility of your golf swing, but also to increase the power that you're able to produce. So we're going to go through lots of rotation. There's loads and loads of rotational movements in a golf swing, within the shoulders, within the thoracic and the lumbar spine, and also around the hips. So the first half of the video is going to be on mobility, getting that increased rotation, meaning you can have a bigger swing and get more club speed. The second half is going to be about power, so getting power from our hips and power from our lumbar spine. So we're going to be able to hit the ball further, but also be able to swing easier. For this, I have a little bit of equipment, so I'm going to be using a resistance band like this one. I have a slam ball, but all it needs is some sort of weight that you can carry. So it might be a dog or your cat or anything that's around 5 kilograms, a few bags of sugar, anything you can hold out in front of you. And we'll see that when we come on to it, how you can adapt to weight at home. I also have a kettlebell for a very similar movement. So again, anything that you can carry around 5 kilograms. You can use the same thing if you're doing this at home and need to adapt. First half of this video is going to be about mobility, so we're going to try and open up our hips, open up the rotation around our spine. So first movement is going to be into a lunge position. So in this case, my left leg is going to be down and into that extended position here, so slightly behind the straight line. And then I'm going to put my weight down over my front foot, so in this case, my right foot. My head is going to be directly over my foot here, and then I just want to ease my pressure down towards the floor, so trying to get my hips nice and low towards the floor. I feel this in my right glute and a little bit in my hamstring, and I feel it in my left hip flexor just here. Again, really try and push down with both to get your hips nice and low to the floor. And then swap legs. So again, left foot forward and leaning head over the foot, just leaning my pressure into that. Right knee back so I can feel it in that hip flexor as well. From here, you can then also bring your arm inside your foot and just push away with your knee there. So just pushing that knee out, you get a bit more of a stretch into your right adductor, but also into your left abductors. And then again, swap over. So just by pushing that knee out, you can get into your adductors in here. And then relax off. If we go back into that same position, we're then going to start to go into some thoracic rotations. So from here, you want to take the foot that is forward, take the same hand, and we're just going to rotate that up and round. And I want to follow my hand and watch it all the way. By watching it, it gets my shoulders and my thoracic to rotate round. Try and get it to point straight up towards the ceiling. You want to try and keep your core nice and tight as you do that, nice and slow movements. And just feel that start to move that spine in the rotational movement. Again, if you think golf swing, this is very, very similar to the movement we go through on a golf swing. So watching that hand all the way back round, and try and get it vertical to the ceiling. We're just opening up the spine, getting our rotator and multifidus to start working. And we can repeat 2 of those on each side. And feel the shoulder start to open up as well. From here, then we can start to work our way down into our hips. So go into the seated position with our knees up. If you drop your knee down, cross your leg over. So you want the little bony bit on your ankle just to catch on your left knee, in this case, your opposite knee, and then just bring your foot back in towards you. And as you do that, you just feel your hip rotate in lateral position. So lateral rotation, and you should just feel that opening up the hip. The closer in you bring your opposite leg, the more you're going to feel that in and around your glute on the outside of your hip. And just get little oscillations into there and just opening up your right hip. And then swap yourself over. So left leg or left foot across your right knee, catch it on the ankle, and then just bring your right foot back towards you. And again, I'm feeling that on the outside of my left hip, so just in here. And then little oscillations, bringing that foot a little bit further in just to increase the stretch. We repeat that twice. The second time we go into that position, we should be able to go a little bit further, and you should be able to just feel that stretch a little bit more as our body becomes more comfortable with it and starts to ease off. And again, just oscillating around, just starting to free up that hip. allow the glute to let the movement go. Back onto my left again, just trying to go a little bit further in with it. This shouldn't feel painful, it should just feel like a stretch and everything is just relaxing and loosening off. From here, we're going to lie ourselves down, still with our knees up. We're going to place our hands out just to stop any thoracic rotation. So we just want our lumbar or our lower back to rotate from here. So knees together, feet together, and they'll stay together the whole way throughout. And then I'm just going to drop my knees down, starting off going to the right. And straight away I feel that just opening up, a few little clicks in there, just opening up that lumbar spine. Once my knees are as low as they can go, just take a nice deep breath and just allow your body to be used to that movement. Come back up to the center and again drop down. If you watch my knees, they stay together the whole way, so you don't want your knees to drop like that. You want to keep them together. You're trying to get your right hip up and over. Nice deep breath in the bottom and then back to the middle. Again, when we're going to repeat that, the second time should feel a little bit easier. Should feel like you can get closer to the ground. Back to the center line and drop down, keeping those knees together. Okay. We're then going onto our hands on our knees and we're going to go into pull-unders. So again, looking at that thoracic rotation, working the hip a little bit. So onto hands and knees, trying to keep my core nice and tight as I do this. If you want, you can put a target out to touch, but you're going to go underneath. You're trying to get your shoulder down and touch the floor. And then coming back up. So if you like a target out there, so you can put a tennis ball or you can put the kettlebell there, just getting that down, reaching across. And again, you're feeling that open, the shoulders and that thoracic spine. And we're going to repeat the same on the other side. Little pause at the bottom of the movement, just to show I'm in control, getting those muscles to engage. And we're going to repeat 3 times on each side. Each time we do it, try and go a little bit further. So if you have got a tennis ball as a target, each time you touch it, just roll it away ever so slightly. Just you're increasing that stretch. Feel that along the obliques, down the side of your back, a little bit into your QL as well. And then back to the middle. From here, if you have a golf club, you can use a golf club for this. Or if you have a straight bar or something like that, or if you just want to put your hands backwards, so squeeze your shoulder blades together, almost as if you were skydiving. So again, if you've got a golf club, cross the back of your neck and hold on to the club. You can do this stood up or you can do this on your knees. All you're going to do from that position is just rotate around. If you have got a golf club or something in your hands, you can try and get that so it's pointing vertical. And again, similar to the position that we just were in, feeling that on the QLs. And feeling it on the obliques as well. Doing this kneeling is quite nice because you get a little pull onto your adductors in here, so into the groin area. You can also do this stood up. So if I was to do it stood up, you're going to slightly bend over, golf club over the back of your head, and then just rotating around. And if you think about the movement you're doing there, that pretty much is the golf swing, just without your hands. So if you're coming into that position, we're going into there. And you just feel that on the side of the back. And just keep rotating through that until you feel nice and loose and your back is working with you. The next movement is where I come into the band. And again, you can do this stood up or you can do this knelt down. All we're going to do is drop the band over the back of our heads. So going into external rotation with my right hand. And then my left hand just internally rotating. And I'm going to grab the band with both. From here, I want to pull on the band, try and pull evenly up and down with both hands, and I want to keep it level with my spine. So I don't want to be pulling it over here or over here. I'm going to try and keep it a nice steady pull with both. If the pressure's too much, relax off on the band and try and get both arms to straight. Then you know you're pulling with both. If you haven't got a band, you can use something like a towel, and obviously you won't get much movement because it hasn't got much give, but you can still just engage the muscles like that, so you'll feel it. My left arm's a bit weak there, so it's shaking. And again, if you have got a band, try and get full range through. And then again, repeat that on both sides, so 2 reps on each, just once you feel your shoulders nice and loose, and starting to work with you. The next movement is where we come on to add on our weight. So this is where we're starting to look at, we're still working on the mobility and flexibility and the rotation, but we're adding a weight in. So we're getting our glute medius to kick in, our hips to really work with us, and trying to get a bit of strength through the golf club. So when you are swinging, especially in sort of wet conditions, you can get more power going through and power into the ball and ultimately hitting the ball further. So I've got the slam ball here. Again, any weight that you have at home you can use. So pick up your dog or your cat if needs be. To start with, all I'm going to do is go into the nice strong position, so almost as if you're addressing the ball. So go into your stance, out in front of you, again almost as if you're grabbing the club, and then from there, I just want to rotate round to start with. So I'm not coming back up as if I was swinging the club, I'm just going from side to side. The further out you have the weight, the harder that is going to be and the better it's going to be. So start quite close in with a low weight, just moving around, getting used to the movement, and then going out in front of you. You're trying to twist with your shoulders and not trying to twist the hips too much. So try and keep your hips facing forward. From there, you might need to lighten the weight a little bit, or you can bring the weight back in. We're then going to more represent a golf swing. So rather than going side to side, we're going to go out and back down, and then out and back down. And we're now imagining we're hitting a golf ball. So I'm keeping my eye on the floor or on the ball, whereas before I could move around with the ball. I now want to focus on the floor, and I am almost doing a golf swing. I'm going both ways because obviously I want to, as soon as I've hit through, I want to continue that follow through, getting lots of power into my swing. When I get to the middle, I want a slight pause. So I don't want to be swinging through as if it is a golf club. I want to start from there and do your back swing and your follow through if you are right-handed. You want to do 5 reps on those. So 1 rep is going to be that way and that way. Do 5 reps, have a little break, and then go and do it again. And do 3 sets of those. So you're going to do 30 in total, in effect. Next movement is going to be where I go on to the kettlebell, purely because I can hold this in one hand. And we're going to do exactly the same thing, but it's going to be single-handed. So into my setup position. So if I was into my setup position, taking my right hand off, and then again, focusing on the ball, and I'm just going to go out with my right hand. And I'm just doing that preload or the backswing position. I'm trying not to get too much of a swing into there, so I'm not swinging the bell. I'm coming back, holding it, back out, and back down, so it's all very controlled. Swap my hands over and do exactly the same movement. So no swing, it's nice and controlled. And you're going to go for 5 on each. And then going to swap over and again repeat for 3 sets. Try and keep your core nice and tight whilst you're doing this. And try and keep your head nice and still. So same with the golf swing, trying to keep your head still, everything really nice and still, so you're getting a nice bit of timing through that ball. The next thing to do is going to be a similar movement again, but we're now going to go onto 1 foot. So our position is going to slightly change, so our foot is going to come into the middle, and we're going to stand onto 1 foot. That is the first exercise. So stand on 1 foot really gets our hips working, so my right hip is working really hard to keep me in that position. Once I'm comfortable with that, I'm going to do the same movement, so I'm going to address the ball, and then really, really slowly, I'm just going to go into a half swing backwards. And as I do that, I'm trying to keep my knee nice and strong. And I'm going to go 5 on the backswing, and I'm going to go 5 on the follow through, again, if I'm a right-handed golfer. Trying to keep my core nice and tight, trying to keep that knee nice and stable. At this point, I'm really starting to feel that working my knee and working my hip. So 5 is plenty. If you can't get to 5, start with 3, and then so on. So it's going to be 3 on the back, 3 on the front, so 6 in total. And I'm going to swap over. Same position, I'm going to go into, and we're going to go for the follow through. and then into the backswing. A little bit more unstable on my left leg, so I just needed to put my right leg down. If you do need a little guide every so often, that's okay. Try and progress up to the point where you can do 5 without having to put your foot down or without being too wobbly. And that's starting to fatigue a lot quicker because my left leg is a little bit weaker. Work through those. Again, 5 each way, 3 sets in total. Once you're really, really good at that and feel nice and strong, you can start to add a weight to it. Really light weight, so 6 kilograms in this case is probably too much. Keep working through those, and again, you can add in a few reps if you want. You see some people as well, when they're warming up, they warm up with 2 golf clubs. In effect, that's a very similar thing. So they're adding the weight and just getting their body to move nice and steadily. The only other thing we can add in, and again, is a very similar movement. If you feel like you want to do a little bit more, we can stand on one leg into the setup position, and then from here, all we're going to do is hinge from our hip, keep our knee exactly as it is, so nice and strong. We're not trying to bend our knee, and we're just trying to lean forward, touch the toe or touch the golf ball that's out in front of us. So if I do that from the side, I want to get into a nice strong position with my knee slightly flexed. What I don't want to do is, as I bend down, I don't want to bend my knee. So I'm hinging from my hip, not from my knee. So if you watch what my knee does here, get into that position and keep the knee in that flexed position. And I'm just hinging from the hip, getting that glute med to work really, really hard for us. Work through all of those. If it's just the flexibility you want to work through, start with the first few exercises. If it's just the strength, start with the others. The first exercise is a really, really good warm-up for a golf. So if you're about to go and play golf, or if you're going to hit on the range or whatever, try those exercises before you start, because it will really get you swinging nice and freely and avoiding any embarrassing mishits or bad shots on that first tee. Give that one a go, let us know how you get on, and hope you enjoy.